Kids want boundaries. We all thrive in a framework where we know the rules and we know the boundaries, we know the expectations. It's the same thing online. And parents have all the power and influence in the world and the love to make this happen for their kids. They really do have so much more control and influence than they may even think they do.
You're listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Good afternoon. Hi, Josh. How are you today? My name is John Barill. I am the superintendent of the Brookfield Public Schools, finishing up my 10th year in the district. We have about 2,500 students pre-K to 12. We recently consolidated our 2 elementary schools and have moved into our brand new state-of-the-art pre-K to 5 elementary school. We have 2 other schools. The elementary school feeds into Wisconsin Middle School, which is for grades 6 through 8. And we have our comprehensive Brookfield High School, which is grades 9 through 12. And we're very proud. Brookfield High School was just recognized by the state of Connecticut as a school of distinction.
Hey, congratulations. I'm so excited, Superintendent, to have you here. You know, my mom lived in Connecticut for a short while and she can't stop talking about it. She loved it. She has such fond memories there when she was a flight attendant. It's a big part of who she is. So I feel like I have lived in Connecticut as I've grown up in California, if that's possible. I'm excited to have you here and I'm excited for all of our viewers here today and listeners, no matter where you're at. You know that Smart Social is all about keeping kids safe on social media so they can be successful in the walls of the school and the walls of your home so that someday when you're ready for your kids to be online parents, that they can shine online to get that dream job, career, internship, and everything else. And that's what we're here to do is to support you today. And we call this our Superintendent Spotlight, where we listen to district leaders to address parent questions, real questions we get from all over the country. Today's a little bit of story time. I want to ask the superintendent a question. But first, let's set up the problem that we're seeing nationwide. After 200 plus superintendent conversations, we've heard a consistent trend. Students are growing up in a digital world, we're hearing, filled with powerful technology, AI, and social media, but they're lacking sometimes the maturity and the guidance to use it safely. The result we're hearing is more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. Now, at the same time, adults are trying to help, but they're also overwhelmed, perhaps too busy to be informed, sometimes often left out of the loop, or struggling themselves, we're hearing. Now, parents are trying to raise good kids in a world that they didn't grow up in, a world where we're hearing technology is moving faster than safety policies. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and safety lessons usually come after a crisis nationwide, we're hearing. Superintendent, set me straight. Tell me if I got anything wrong. And are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so that we can alert other districts before they see them?
Well, thanks again for the question. And I think you set it up just right, Josh. I really empathize with parents today. I have 2 young adult sons that I raised, and they didn't have to contend with the social media, frankly, crisis that we're seeing at this point and all of the interaction that comes with that until the middle school age. So we had some time before that started for them. But again, you really do paint the picture right. I think one of the things that we want to do in our district is really help our parents and be an ear for them and empathize with them and know that they're not alone. I think when we think about social media, we almost think of it as different behavior. But for me, for our school district, it really is about high character and high responsibility in using social media and teaching kids that with the expectation as if they were in person, thinking about them being their best selves. So we have kind of I like to talk about the ABCs of using social media. So for example, acting with maturity, thinking before you post, being kind and respectful. You do that in your in-person communication, do that online. Protect your privacy. The B is be smart with your photos, your videos, be selective with your friends, and recognize and report cyberbullying. And of course, think about your cyber footprint. And of course, be cautious. Think critically and watch out for any kind of scams. Watch that privacy again, manage your screen time, and be informed and always keep learning. So those kind of ABCs, we start there. And then the other piece to that is really being on top of what's going on. The main thing we're seeing now that's, I guess, new, if you will, is the kids really getting themselves involved in their academics with using Gemini or ChatGPT and AI and using it irresponsibly. And I think that's one of the areas, not only we're seeing it, maybe middle high school level, we're also seeing that in my new post where I'm heading off to the university level. A lot of the professors are talking about that, the kids coming in now that are in college and the things they're using. So we've got to really get ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. And I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but are there any key takeaways you tell for parents? I'm going to give you an example. We in our programs, we have a lot of English teachers that come in and say, here's how you can use AI safely while reducing cheating. And one of the pro tips, the key takeaways for all of our audience is one eighth grade teacher who's an English teacher says, we want you to use AI earlier in the writing process. So you're brainstorming, you're getting ideas, and then you write it. You could have AI critique it maybe, but let's do it earlier in the process rather than it cheating. So you're still using your brain and stuff. Is that reasonable? And what other tips do you have for people here so that kids we're reducing cheating and increasing learning and retention?
Right. And it's about increasing learning and retention. The iPhones, right? We'll start there. Social media, they're not going anywhere. So we have to teach the kids to use them responsibly. So the same thing with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, for example. I love that idea. That's something we are talking about is use it earlier in the writing process and specifically perhaps develop your outline and then put it into ChatGPT, take a look at it. What suggestions are you getting? Maybe it's a jumping off point or a brainstorming idea, as you say. And our staff is working in that realm. We're not trying to ban any of this. We want to manage it and teach the students to use it responsibly. And frankly, our staff needs to use it responsibly. Educators need to use it responsibly as well, because as you know, artificial intelligence could be used, for creating anything. And the other part about using it responsibly as well is you need to check. It still is a computer that's putting this together, and you need to do your own authentic work.
Yeah, and I mean that brings up a really good point. And for all the parents right now, there's a lot of parents that are really afraid. Josh, I'm afraid that AI is going to take my kid's job. They just graduated from college, or I'm afraid I don't want my kids to ever use it. Parents, my role as a CEO in the private sector, blending K-12 to the real world, as I have an army of CEOs around me and I serve the K-12 industry, is how do we use these tools as a tool to get your kids where they want to go? They still need to learn, but let's introduce them earlier than later. We don't just hand the keys. It's the 16th birthday to the kid and go, I've kept you from cars. Now let's learn last minute how to drive it safely. That might be irresponsible with a 5,000-pound vehicle in the community. Let's also use that ChatGPT, Gemini. There's a ton of them. There's Grok out there. There's Claude.
Right.
Parents, don't get overwhelmed. But how do we use these tools to get from point A to point B, just like a vehicle, safely, and they can see you modeling it? And I think the answer, Superintendent, tell me if I'm wrong, the answer is using it with your kids. So they're looking over their shoulder, you're looking over their shoulder. What are some tips you would have on promoting safety at home so that parents can be a part of this safety conversation?
Right. So you're not wrong. And what I would say is in the realm of actually creating the work, the concept of durable versus vulnerable. And if you have durable work that you're putting together, whether it's a course syllabus, whether it's a research paper, whatever it might be that you're producing as a student or an educator or anyone, you want something that's durable, that really is you and is authentic and genuine to your work. And if it's vulnerable, meaning vulnerable to AI, it means the job or whatever you're talking about will be taken over by a computer someday. So we need to think about those concepts. I think in terms of things parents can do, it's the old adage, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. So again, I think we're really on the same page here, Josh. Parents and students working on this together. Parents are very involved. Kids come home, they're working on an assignment. They ask their parent for help. They're leaning over their shoulder. They're working on a paper that they might be struggling with. And together, hey, how could Gemini help us in this? Let's paste something in there and see what we can learn from it. I think that's using it responsibly, and that's okay. It's not cheating. It's working on it. It's when you let things be created and you have citations in there and so forth, and you take credit for it that you didn't do the work. Of course, that's problematic. I think to go to your kind of next level question, what are some things parents can do? I think one of our consulting pediatrician, he really said it best when we were talking about social media. He said, the parents have such a strong role and they have such power and influence on their children. Really think about the things you do at home, especially as the evening goes on. After you try to have a dinner together or conversations, and we know everybody's busy, an hour without screen time, whether it's reading a book, relaxing together, talking, whatever it might be, try to get an hour before bedtime together. And then the thing that I add for parents all the time is never let the devices in the bedroom. Children should be relaxing and going to sleep. My house, the kids grew up, you charge your devices in the kitchen at night, overnight. That's where they are. They're not in the bedroom. I think those are some really simple tools and tips that can help our parents out.
Superintendent, that's $1 million tip right there. Parents, it's going to be difficult, but oh no, my kid deserves privacy. Parents, watch some of our other videos at smartsocial.com. We're reaching millions of people talking about how predators want you to think that your kids should have privacy.
Right.
And also allowing your kids to sleep next to their phones where they're not getting the sleep that the superintendent wants your kids to get, because kids need about 10 hours, more or less, to rejuvenate themselves to be ready for class so they can learn and not fall asleep in class. But also, we don't want those bad people chatting with your kids in the middle of the night, right? Am I wrong there,
No,
Superintendent?
I couldn't agree with you more. And the other thing, and again, going back to kind of our concepts of how we traditionally raise our children in person, it's very similar. Kids want boundaries. We all thrive in a framework where we know the rules and we know the boundaries, we know the expectations. It's the same thing online. And parents have all the power and influence in the world and the love to make this happen for their kids. They really do have so much more control and influence than they may even think they do.
That's so true. Okay, we're going to get back to you, Superintendent, in a sec, but we've got a question from our audience. Parents are asking us. Parents, this is from one of our live events that we do 50 times a year, all over the country. Parents are asking, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Let's hear from a real student about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Now, parents, if your district is one of our partners, remember we have weekly live parent events where we do giveaways. As of the time of this video, don't hold me accountable to this. Every week we're giving away a Kindle, a Bluetooth speaker, a 3D printer. If you just come to our events, learn how to protect your kid, bring your kids to it. It's really fun because it's led by real teens you just saw, moderated by yours truly here. And there's a premium parent newsletter. Here's what goes right in New York. We want to show you, come to these events, get your giveaways. Here's my friend Daron, and how if you attend the events, this is what the impact it makes in your community.
You are the one that needs to decide whether it's too much screen time or just right.
But parents and teachers know when it comes to teenagers and social media, that's easier said than done. So in an effort to protect students from the dangers of being chronically online, schools are doing something you might not expect: asking parents to get online too.
It makes an awareness to parents and students. It also gives them an understanding of some of the warning signs.
That's just one reason why Daron Wilson, an executive director of school engagement, says his district uses the app SmartSocial. It's an online app designed to educate parents and students on how to avoid strangers and dangerous situations online.
Kind of like, I want to say, a trap. When you get involved in the cyberbullying, you might start friending somebody on an app, or somebody might say, hey, they might send me your picture.
SmartSocial founder Josh Oakes says while there are a lot of things that can and should scare us online, the increased number of parents he is able to reach underscores the importance of growing social gathering spaces online.
Back in the day, I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, but I was flying around to certain school districts, and they're the best of intentions, but only 20 or 30 parents would show up. We get 10 times the amount of parents to show up, and they want to learn from the convenience of their home or office how to keep their kids safe on social media. They want to ask live questions. They want to learn how to have dialogue starters with your kids that actually get their kids excited about talking with their parents and strengthening that relationship.
Darcy Wertique, Spectrum News.
All right, parents, remember, if your district is a partner, we have a ton of these events all year long. We're going to have the biggest anti-bullying event in the world world, we think, with thousands of parents joining in, 5 different nights. It's incredible. Let me just show you. It is summertime when we're releasing this episode, but our back to school is phenomenal. We're going to roll over resources, join the next live event, and we've got a bunch in June. And really, the summer is all about the 7 steps to ignite your teen's motivation this summer. It's part of our summer series. I'm known as the guy that teaches kids how to shine online with several of my books and my former brand marketing background at Disney. So we've got a lot of different events. If you miss one of these, register, even if you think you'll miss it, because it'll send you the replay. All of our programs are replayed on our website in English, Espanol, Mandarin, and we've got about 9 other languages all the text is available in. It's phenomenal. No one's left behind. A lot of really good stuff. We hope you'll join us, parents. There are giveaways, and not only will your kids like it, but there'll be something in it for you. Okay, we're back with our superintendent guest. Superintendent, after 200 of these conversations with your peers, we've uncovered another critical pattern I'd like your insight on. Many of these districts, and maybe this isn't yours, maybe yours is perfect, but many districts are struggling right now to meaningfully engage parents despite their best efforts. We're hearing that emails, texts, and flyers can go unread. Parent events might frequently have a low turnout. And while most parents care really deeply about their children's education and safety, they're often overwhelmed or maybe unsure, how do we support the school district and the schools effectively? This disconnect can create a gap where the district and the schools realize how important it is to partner with families. So as a result, here's what we're hearing. Communities are saying many parents feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks. And some are saying that students are finding ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, what trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most staying informed and connected?
I think some of what you already outlined is right on with what we're seeing here. We're a relatively affluent school district. We do have many families where both parents are working, and it's very easy trying to raise kids in today's world with social media, both parents working and working hard, to feel overwhelmed. There's no doubt about that. One of the things we think about in terms of boosting engagement, we've had some good efforts in the last year, is really literally and figuratively meeting parents where they are. And to the earlier point you made, meeting them online if we can. We've done a lot of different trainings, whether it's about online work or social media or parent nights or trainings. We've actually offered lots of online virtual type opportunities. I think that's been really helpful for that. Or meeting folks, not necessarily in the schools, but at a community center or something different, meeting parents where they go to the library. It might be easier to gather everybody there. So those are some of the things, that we're doing to make sure we're there. The other piece we're doing is tech awareness nights, online safety nights. And again, those we could stream. We have the technology to stream those live to parents. We also record them and then have those for parents as well. So those who want to be more traditional and in person certainly have that opportunity. But those who may be working or have to take their child to the travel baseball game or whatever it might be that evening could tune in from their phone while they're on the bleachers. So, those are the things that really help us. Another thing that really helped us, Josh, it was last spring when Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, had come out. And it really moved me when I first saw an interview. I think it might have been Good Morning America or something. And I said, wow, he's hitting on all the points that we all talk about. And I ordered the book for all of my staff and then really formed up an existing advisory group to the superintendent, which we called SPEAKS. And that stood for Student, Parent, Educator, Advisory Council to the Superintendent. And we talked through a lot of the studies and the tragedy that really was described by Dr. Haidt. And we made some really engaging and exciting unified decisions, parents, educators, and the Board of Education. And we moved forward with no cell phones at all allowed during instructional time. Students still were able to bring them to school, but during instructional time, they were checked in shoe pockets, shoe holder pockets, and we've really moved forward on that. And we have survey data that indicates not only parents and teachers, but the students realize how much more focused they are in school, and they're not trying to socialize with one another, and they're not being exposed to dangers while they don't have that social media access, and especially during instructional time where we need them to focus on their academic work.
I'm taking notes. I love what you're saying. This is so interesting. I love what great leadership. You ordered the book for your staff.
Yeah, so we have over 400 staff. So it was for our non-certified staff as well, not just our teachers. And we wanted to make sure everybody started to get an understanding. And then we had copies for some of our parent leaders in the district as well.
Good for you. That's a big investment.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I love the Student Parent Educator Advisory Council. Did I spell that right?
Yeah, so it stands for SPEAK, Student Parent Educator Advisory Council to the Superintendent.
Great. To the superintendent. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's brilliant. The speak. Amazing. These are great tips. Excellent advice. What advice would you give to other district leaders who want to get more parent engagement? Are there any other pro tips or practical and tactical tips on how to get parents more interested in either watching a live stream or coming on campus?
Well, I think it's doing the kinds of things you're doing on SmartSocial, Josh. And I'm going to mention a particular company that we engaged with, but there's other companies trying to do the same kind of work, but it's called Parent Square. And that is a technology platform where all of us are engaged in streamlining our parent engagement. And that's through all kinds of communication, not only with staff, students, but the parents. And everybody's on the same platform. It's very parent-centric, and all faculty and staff are on it. And the other part is that the administrator can keep an eye on all the communications from school to home. And we get data daily on that information, so we know what's most effective. I think that in and of itself has really helped. And again, survey feedback has been very helpful to us. We do 2 climate surveys a year, and we have those technology and social media questions on there for our families.
I love that. 2 climate surveys per year. Always a good idea to hear directly from the end user, which is the parents in this case, and Parent Square. We love that. We're hearing a lot of parent engagements coming from the Parent Square, sending out text messages or whatever. And texts get a 97% open rate within the first 24 hours, which is phenomenal. And emails are tough, right? Absolutely love that. Hey, Superintendent, this has been a blast. Thank you for taking the time to join us here today.
Yeah. Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, Josh. Thank you so much for having me today.
We appreciate you. For all of our parents and our other superintendents out there that are listening to this, we really appreciate, we love you here at SmartSocial. We're rooting for you. If you're working to keep your kids safe and successful in the 4 walls of the school and at home, so you're having those digital dialogues with them, constant ongoing dialogues, you're remembering that there is no safety app that's going to protect your kids more than a healthy dialogue. Having that difficult dialogue, being the tough parent, we are rooting for you. We really care about you. We got dozens of employees here at SmartSocial helping you in dozens of states, and we're here for you if you need anything at smartsocial.com so that your kids can shine online. And last, parents, no matter what you're posting online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite, because our kids are seeing what we're doing online. We'll see all of you on the next episode. I'm Josh Oakes. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. SmartSocial helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.